On the first weekend of November 2023, we exhibited at the Wuppertaler Public Utility Company. I took the opportunity to take photos and conduct interviews with some of our members. Here is the dismantling of the layout in our room first. Hello, Bernd.
Hi.
We are now here in Wuppertal at the Public Utilities. We do exhibitions here. We have already built up quite a lot. How did the whole thing actually get started with beans? Tell us a little bit.
Stupid story, actually.
Tell us how beans got started.
Oh God, that's quite a story.
Tell us, how did you get to beans?
Yes, it's actually quite a crazy thing. I had actually bought a few American locals and cars at home, and I actually got into it through a friendly club, the METL Club.
But how did the whole thing actually get started with beans? Tell us a little bit.
Stupid story, actually. I was still in the basement in Urkreth. I had a little chat with Andy about what we actually do in our private lives in terms of railroading. Yes, and then he says American model railroading.
It's actually Bernd's fault in the MEEC, because when I became a member back then, we had a few conversations about layouts and what dreams we had for dream layouts. Then I once told him that I would like to have a large American layout, because I started with American model railroading back then. And then I spoke to Bernd a few times.
Yes, and layout? Nope. Where? And oh, I say, interesting topic, especially with regard to the landscape, but I don't buy vehicles.
And then I spoke to Bernd a few times, and he said he would like to build an American landscape, and then we talked about it a few times, and then at some point he suddenly said, shouldn't we build a layout? And then we actually already agreed that we would need a length of more than 33 feet to be able to run long trains. And neither he nor I actually had a large basement where we could set them up.
He looked at me stupidly at first. Then we let it sink in, and then I asked again, yes, how, where? Then I said, I have a big basement, we can start there. You have a basement, we can start there. But let's start with mine.
And then he already had plans, yes, we'll build the layout modular and take it to exhibitions and trade fairs. And then we can set the layout up completely. Yeah, then we slept on it for a few nights. And then we said, why not? Because the journey is the reward. You don't have to finish quickly.
Then we drew the first plans, bought wood, and then we started in our basement at the home of Manuela and mine. We started in 2008. We have had first thoughts at the end of 2007.
Yes, and then we practically built the first 4 years completely on our own. And then we gradually added 2 men every 2 years from the MEC.
When did that happen?
In 2008.
We started at the beginning of 2008. I think at the end of 2007 was practically the first time we thought about it. And then we really started completely at the beginning of 2008.
So all the modules are ready and outside. We are now waiting for the truck, and then we can start loading the modules.
Yeah, we will most likely get a 7.5-ton truck from WSW, flatbed pure tarpaulin with loading platform. But the truck in the photo didn't look quite as big as the truck we usually have. But if necessary, we can transport small parts in the car. But then we can definitely increase the module stacks to 4 modules.
Does he have the lift truck with him?
I don't know. You couldn't see it in the picture. He only photographed the truck from the side. But I hope they have a lift truck with them.
Since we are getting a larger truck, we can then convert to a 4-module stack.
Ach, den aufteilen.
Ja, ist egal, aber weil der hier gerade vorne steht. So, mach mal einmal schon mal da. Once here, turn around.
Umdrehen. Vorne ist knapp. Ja, guck mal, kommt da mit der Farbe da
He declared me crazy at the beginning. What do you want? We want to take long trains, I said. It doesn't matter, we'll just get started and do it.
The first modules, built from wood, were then built, and the first tracks were laid on a trial basis and then fixed. And then the first turning section was practically built with the first 3 modules on each side.
Then the part at the back with Slotsbox. That's the first thing that came into being with the grain store, etc., etc.
Then little by little, so at first just rails up, then we bought a few buildings and put them on trial, and then we made a few changes here and there. In the end, we did actually try to make a sketch or a plan of how it should look like, but in the end we ended up building it freelance, just as the mood took us, and above all, how it fitted the layout and how we liked the look of it afterwards. Then a few things were added, but then we left out a few things that we initially thought would be quite good, but but they didn't fit the theme.
But you were both alone then?
Yes, we were both alone for a long time. Afterwards, and then we were at him in the basement. My basement was full too. I could only fit 3 modules in there. Then it was over. Up until then they still had them, except for Rico, who was our wood supplier. Nobody had seen it yet. And then we said, after we had finished one piece, that was about as far as Habia Cable Factory. Now we could actually set it up. And then at my house, upstairs in the living room, so what we had with a provisional turnaround, but really close.
We already have photos of it.
You've already seen photos of it?
And I think I've already used that in one video.
We then sent Manuela on vacation with her girlfriend. And that was always Carnival, the Carnival weekend.
But because the layout is ultimately divided into 2 parts by the backdrop, we have built a countryside with a small village on it and a farm and lots of farmland. Yes, and on the other side, where the others normally have their staging yard, we created the freight yard of a large city. And there are lots of factories and companies in the background scenery where you can do a lot of switching if you want to. And that's the beauty of it. Combination with our layout, you can run long trains and still be able to switch in peace and quiet. And that's what makes Beans so special, mainly.
Well, then we had the layout together for the first time and run some trains, and that was great fun. Then the first guest came, and then we were still on our own. Then there was an exhibition in Andy's living room. That was the third 2 were at my place. And then, strangely enough, they all came slowly but surely. They all didn't believe it would work. They thought we were crazy.
I'll be honest with you, me too.
Yes, and then came the boys. There was already a bit of landscape on it. Some of it was already finished. Yes, and then they liked it. I don't even remember the order. I think Stefan Bonus and
Dirk, I think.
Dirk, that's right. You were also standing there doing like this. And then you asked me, can I join in? So I always say you, yes. And then it continued. Then we built with 5 men, actually with 5 men for the first time, because you were part of it. Yes, that's when I moved to the Baltic Sea. And then the modules came to me for landscaping.
And Frank transported the modules, right?
Frank brought the modules to us. He was always happy when he came because he got a good meal. And the lovely walks by the Baltic Sea.
Tell us, how did you get to Beans?
Yes, it's actually quite a crazy thing. I had actually bought a few American locals and cars at home, and I actually got into it through a friendly club, the METL Craft. Yep, you've got nothing better to do, and that's how you end up in conversation. I got to know Andreas Wölfel and Bernd there. Well, and then we got talking a bit, and then it was like, oh, we have an American layout. I said, oh, great. I have locomotives, I have a few modules at home, but I didn't really get on with them. And then I said, okay, I'll have a look at that. Yeah, then I actually came to Bernd first, and Bernd showed me a few photos.
And then, slowly but surely, more and more people joined in, and then it happened in no time at all. Then the idea came up that we should go to Rodgau. Yes, and then we all got together and managed to pull it off.
The convention in Rodgau was very nice.
Yeah, Rodgau, that was in 2017. The layout was basically as it stands here now, apart from 2 modules that were added, finished, with all hands on deck.
Yes, that's a great system. It looks great. It's only just started, of course, but I imagined that it could really become a dream, and Beans came out of that later. And what was really important for me, the great team spirit.
Yet again, a bit of cleaning. In the meantime, we've been to several train shows. Currently, it's better without glasses. We've been invited to the Wuppertaler Public Utilities. We are currently setting up there. You always get stuck somewhere during transportation. Small parts keep coming off, or sometimes the whole roofs come off. That has happened before, but if you have a good glue, won't have any problems. These are small things that you have to live with.
You've just done some restoration work.
Another roof was just loose, and over in Lotzburg at the water tower, the flag is still missing. It's gone flying. The truck was a bit too low, but you can fix anything with glue or super glue. That's not a problem.
So, first day of the train show. Shortly before the start of the exhibition, there was a small problem with these two turnouts. The turnouts are set together. Once only one didn't work, then both didn't work. But the guys managed to fix it. Now everything is okay. Today, we are at the Wuppertaler Public Utilities, at the 29th Model Railroad Days, as already mentioned. Today, we are showing the trains that bring fun. There is no audience here that is particularly familiar with American model railroading. But everyone wants to see the big boy and long trains running. And as Christmas is coming up soon, we have attached our Christmas cars to the train.
I can only say that I am also in another club. The community here is different. There are only crazy people here who also works, who participate, and always developing new things, like your OR-dock, which has been added, and that's actually what makes it fun here, the community. And that's why it's also fun to exhibit here.
I got to know a lot of guys from the scene, and very important for me was, yes, I met enthusiastic model builders, model railroaders.
Do you remember when that started for you?
So I was just thinking about it a bit. I mean, that would have been in 2014, because there was an exhibition in Erkrath, and that's where we met for the first time. That's when I walked into the MEC room at the school and got started there.
So in principle it was a similar time to when I joined?
Yes, I think you were there a few days earlier, but the end effect was that we just started things, and yes, we got to know each other. I know it was in the dark basement in the school.
Stefan, tell me, how did you join Wiens in the first place?
Somehow got stuck a few years ago. After I played along and did a bit of electric, and got a taste for it.
There was also a story where you were a bit involved, where Wiens was temporarily stored.
For a year between the storage at two Wiens colleagues and the current room in Wuppertal, the whole thing spent a year at my home in the spare room, where the layout was also operational.
You've been to all the train shows now?
I've been here since 2017. I think that was the first exhibition I remember. Our first was in Rottgau. Yes, that's where we really put on a show. Our layout was ready 2 days beforehand. We were exhausted, but it was a great experience to show beans for the first time in Rottgau. We got to know the great team accordingly, and of course other model railroaders too. Best regards to Ronald. Then also from Beans here to Holland, and the most important thing for us was that we had a lot of fun. We still have that to this day. Well, that's when our tour started. I think we even still have a few signs. I don't think we have any on this side. We have the signs on the other side. So yes, as you can see, we're a bit wild on tour, always a bit on tour. Here you can see our first train show. That was at the 6th US convention in Rottgau near Frankfurt, and we earned our spurs there. And then it just went on from there. Then the people from Karst discovered us. So then you get talking, Homeland Talk, Karst, Wuppertal, it's not that far away. That means we were at the IGM Karst exhibition in October 2018. And then there was something special. We were there in November 2018 in Westerstetten. Hello to Boris. That's a Facebook acquaintance, and you get to know each other a bit now. He also paid us a brief visit. We exchanged videos, and then we were in Westerstetten near Ulm, so a bit further south.
I think it was quite an adventure to get into the hall with the layout.
Yeah, that was the best. Sloping access, a bit sloping, a bit was good. We went a bit wide in the face. It really was a steep ramp down. Now we then held on to everything. It was also icy, it was cold, it was still really nice, great winter weather, but still a very nice event.
And what do you enjoy most?
Everything, running trains, yeah, shunting, building, is a bit of everything.
And what are your experiences with the team?
Well, good on the whole so far.
We're also doing quite well in time today.
I think so. We're doing quite well, because one section is now almost at the end. Then we only need to adjust the second section again until the end. Then the backdrops come in. Finally, just the big part at the back. Attach the second turning section properly. Then we have to open up our piano again. Then a few additional cables have to be laid underneath, but luckily we have not so many, and the boosters have to be connected. Then we can almost go for a test drive, and finally everything's ready.
What is simply exciting is the team. You can see that when you look around here, now during setup. There are enough people here, and nobody shies away from the work. Everyone is doing something, and everyone knows what they're doing and what they have to do.
We've even been able to train the brand newcomer Thomas quite well.
Yes, we've already trained him quite well. And that's what Beans is all about. You don't have to tell anyone to do it. They find the places where something needs to be done.
I think the setup went quite well here today.
So far, I don't think there have been any significant failures.
Small things.
Exactly.
I think this is always the most laborious part of aligning the modules.
Yes, especially as the floor here is obviously built in ways properly to drain this parking zone. So now we have to adjust each module somehow,
so that the module is in balance. Hello, Dominic.
Hello.
Tell me, how did you get to Beans?
I met you in 2018 at the Karst Train Show. I got to know you there and had a lot of fun with the layout. I really liked it, and so I came to you in Karst. You asked me if I was interested, and I said yes. Well, I came back a few times, and that's how it slowly developed.
You were also at the show in Westerstetten.
Exactly.
Was that a bit of an adventure?
That was an adventure, yes, it really was. I was still at school then. We had to work out exactly how and when I could come and who could take me with them. And then setting up and dismantling. It was really exciting, yes.
Also the hall there, how we brought the modules into the hall.
Yes, right, yes, with the slope, I remember, yes. That was a bit, with the two boards, yes.
Florian, yes. Tell me, how did you get into Beans?
Yes, how did I get to Beans? Well, Andy and Bernd started it, and then there were some people from our MEC who joined in, and then there were the first questions about the electrics, because I specialized a bit more in electrics than in landscaping, and so I just came to help, and then I got stuck to it.
Nice. You've been to an exhibition before, not only in Dortmund, but there's a nice photo about it.
Yeah, in Westerstetten, that's where I learned to love the switcher, the little 45-ton switcher. It was actually wonderful, the whole train show, assemble the trains, and then you just let them run, and then gave me new tasks, and I was able to assemble the trains together with my colleague Dominic. We were always able to bring the individual cars to their stations, to load them, to reassemble the train again. It was a lot of fun, and that's how I finally stuck with it and said, yes, I'd like to join you too.
Well, then we managed to get to a larger trade fair for the first time, to Modellsleben in Erfurt. It's one of the biggest model building fairs and model railroad fairs in East Germany in Erfurt. We also had a few experiences there. I can remember this Hurricane Clara, so we were really blown away in the truest sense of the word. So that was also very interesting as a golden finale. We managed to be at Intermodellbau in April this year. Yes, it was a great trade fair. We really enjoyed it and got to know a lot of people from far and near, from near and far. So it was a great thing and a lot of fun. Our tour will definitely continue.
Hello, Johannes.
Hello, Harry.
How did you get involved with Beans?
Many of the Beans members are also in the MEC. I've been in the MEC for well over 10 years now, and because a lot of people told me that there was another nice layout, I just came and had a look. And I liked what I saw, so I stayed.
I think this is your second time at a train show, is that right?
This is the second time I've been to a train show with Beans.
You were in Dortmund too?
Yep, I was definitely there in Dortmund.
The next train show was in Dortmund, wasn't it?
Dortmund, exactly.
And Dortmund was fun too, wasn't it?
That's right. Yes, I was there with my final exam, but I really wanted to be there. I managed to be there for 2 days, no, 3 days, right? Yes, exactly, 3 days. And yes, that was brilliant too. It worked much better.
Benny, you're also, let's say, relatively new. After 15 years of Beans, relatively new at it. How long now?
It should now be just about 6 months and 7 months.
I believe it would have been a bit longer. So in December 2022.
Yes, but not officially, but as a guest. Well, okay, but it's basically correct, yeah.
This is your second time at a train show?
Of course, once in Dortmund, and now we're here in Wuppertal. And I always enjoy taking part in exhibitions. And sacrificing weekends and vacations for it is okay. Yes, that's what I'm really into.
Hello, Thomas.
Hello, Harry.
You've only been with us for a short time and you're taking part.
Yes, I've been watching Beans for 2 months now.
And what is your first impression?
The first impression is, of course, overwhelming. Such a large model railroad layout, which is also transportable and can be seen at train shows. That someone would dare to do something like this is, I would say, a big risk.
How did you hear about Beans?
It's quite simple. We're actually all at the same hobby shop, All American Trains, and there's a poster in the store there. I saw it once and thought to myself, you've got to go and have a look. And then I looked it up on the internet and went to see you.
The hall has filled up a bit. Our member Frank is now also out and about on the layout, having previously been in action elsewhere.
Are we allowed to wave?
But your focus is less on landscaping or things like that. Where do you see your strengths?
My strengths are more in everything you can't see when you look at the layout. I'm mainly involved in the electrics, for example, all the wiring from below, any controls for lighting units and things like that. I basically do everything you can't see.
Setup and dismantling is actually relatively easy, isn't it?
Let's put it this way, the MEC layout has already learned from another layout in terms of design. The Beans layout has now refined the MEC layout. Again, accordingly, there are now 30 or 40 years of refinements in the construction system. The layout can be set up and dismantled accordingly, well and without any problems.
Is there anything you particularly like? Not just under the layout, but also on top of the layout.
Yes, personally, I'm always interested in all the gimmicks on the layout, where you work a lot with light controls or precision mechanics or something like that. The ORDOC would, of course, be particularly useful for this, which unfortunately we don't have with us today.
But you don't have any other special scenery?
The scene on the other side of the layout where the dog runs through the fresh paint.
So you are talking about this scene here?
Yep, that's why. Yeah, and I came back to Beans at some point from one week to the next. Saw that Dirk was making something, and after Dirk had finished making stuff, I laughed loudly because the scene is just so nice. Building it is completely trivial, but you just have to have the idea for it, and these are always the ideas that make a layout like this special.
Not everyone is in our room. That means every weekend or every Saturday. So it's not a problem either. But we just get on with building the layout. That's the nice thing here. So, if you have a problem, even if you need some help privately, the guys are there.
I remember a move from Lenzahn back to Mettmann.
Yes, let's do it. Done. Sure, there were quite enough people there to do the move. That's what Team Beans is all about. And that is something special in my opinion. I don't know if there will be another group like it in this form. It will be difficult to find such a team.
What do you actually like so much about Beans, about the team or anything else?
I think the layout is very professional. I've always liked it. It's really very good, and very close to reality, I'd say. What I like about the group itself is that being together, I'll call it a flat hierarchy, as it usually is. The fact that we all just get on well together, have fun, and can actually talk about the topic perfectly.
You are also someone who can judge the whole thing relatively well, because you often travel to the train shows in the US. Can our layout keep up with that?
In any case, in fact, it is usually much better than most of the layouts on train shows themselves, but what they usually build is often not as high quality as the layout here from Beans.
And you're also one of the few guys who have been to the tracks in the US, and can therefore evaluate a bit whether something has been hit well.
So I would say that's a very good fit. You are based in Iowa, or Minnesota, Wisconsin, and I would say that fits very well.
After all, the other members of Beans have not yet been to the US, or only to the big cities. There is another project that will bear your name or that of your company, but in the US.
As there was thankfully still some space on the layout, which I personally also found very nice, that I was granted this. I was then able to add my American sister company to my actual company. I have a steel construction company here in Germany. And so I was able to create the company Rurex Steel there with two very nice large buildings, which are currently still under construction, as all members are allowed to realize themselves on the layout.
And what is your impression of the setup and dismantling of the layout, as you were there during the dismantling in our room and have now helped out here?
So I'm surprised that you're taking on the strain. Of course, it's an enormous effort. You have to get the truck to transport it all and then get it back together again. Congratulations on getting everything back in perfect working order afterwards. You guys are real experts. I dread every move.
Of course. As Bernd has just said, the layout was designed to be transportable from the outset. That was the very first approach. That's why it's different to building a fixed layout.
Something always breaks at home.
You've probably noticed something has now been damaged during transportation.
Yeah, backdrop damage, things like that.
Roof has come off.
The car loading at the Ford factory is broken.
But everything is repairable. This is probably a completely new experience for you.
I always shy away from this effort. So you're happy when you've put something together beautifully. And it's in a very respectable condition. There's a German proverb. And 3 times moved, they say, is like once burned down.
And how do you like it?
To be honest, I have to say that I'm very enthusiastic about the whole concept. I say the whole thing with the whole model railroad, I like it very, very much. The guys have really done a great job, and I'm really excited about it, I have to be honest.
You had already gained some experience before.
Yes, it wasn't quite like that, but you always like that. When you do something like that, you want to see a bit of success. This is currently my second time at a train show. I think the concept is really great. Yeah, I have to be honest, it's very simple and easy to understand. I can't think of any suggestions for improvement or techniques off the top of my head at the moment, but I will say that when the next events come around, I think there will be 1 or 2 more.
We also have a cup like this for every member. There is the name now. And on the other side is our Beans logo.
And we also have clothes for Beans members. That's something special. Your movie making, I've got my 2 Blu-rays and I'm watching them again now. Almost every 5th evening I have it on late at night, and I always watch a bit because it's fascinating. But I can imagine, I've been there a few times when you were in the room, what an effort it is to make a movie. The filming alone, that's only a small part of the whole thing. The rest is probably work at home, but that's another part of beans that you rarely find.
I am happy to be here. I can only recommend everyone here to try their luck. Anyone who enjoys model railroading and railroad building will probably receive a very friendly and warm welcome here. And anyone who enjoys it should simply try it out. So a clear recommendation, give it a try.